Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, traders. Can you hear me and see my screen? If you could just type yes in the questions. All right, excellent. So let's get started. Okay, welcome to the Bookmap Platform Details webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. Risk disclaimer: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. So what we're going to do in this webinar is we're going to go through define what Bookmap is, go to the website, take a look there, and go through social media as well, just some of the resources, and answer any questions that you have there, and then take a look at Bookmap and go through the basics in what the overall user interface is showing you, and then how to start to take advantage of that, how to start to use Bookmap. So answering all your questions is important here. So please, ask as much as you can. So if you want more insight, this is your place. Okay. So let me just start off here with that bookmap.com. That's where you can find the product. The product comes with education. Okay. There's a 4-part educational course that you get with Bookmap. It's available anytime. So it's recorded, and every day though, following this webinar at 11 Eastern, then we go through the advanced order flow webinars. These are live, and we start to analyze the market, understanding what Bookmap is showing us and how to utilize it. Okay, and then we start to anticipate future price movement based on what we see in the analysis. So the concept here is you have the educational course, and then we back up that educational course in the live markets. Okay, so let's jump over to Bookmap quickly and take a look. Scroll down, there's an intro video here, information about Bookmap, and then Bookmap for equities. All right, I'll get to this in just a minute. A bit further down, okay, connectivity. So Bookmap, let's define Bookmap. It is a visualization software trading platform. We're not a data provider, right? So you will need to provide your data. Except for the digital currencies, we connect to the GDAX exchange, and the connection is free, all right? So for futures and for equities, though, you will need to provide the data. You can see that we have some other platforms listed here as well, like Ninja, TTX Trader Pro, and Interactive Brokers Traders Workstation. You can connect to these 3 platforms via their API with Bookmap. Okay, so we are a platform though, so it's recommended to simply connect directly to Bookmap with CQG, Rhythmic, Gain, IQ Feed, Transact, and Dev Experts. Okay, now this Dev Experts here is for US equities, and it offers NASDAQ total view. So that's the information up here. Very low latency, which gives you full depth of market. Okay, that's a great advantage. And there are some more changes coming to this DX feed in the very near future as well. It's going to be include more than just NASDAQ total view. So it's going to be great. Anyway, a bit further down, this is where you can subscribe. Okay, the Bookmap packages. There is yearly, and you can subscribe yearly here for you get a 20% discount, or you can subscribe monthly. Okay, there's a couple different versions: Bookmap Digital and Bookmap Global. Okay, and those are divided up a bit as well. So the digital version is free. It's a full working copy of Bookmap. It connects to the live market. It connects only to the GDAX exchange, though. It cannot connect to anything else. And you get 1 digital currency at a time. That's all you get. But if you're interested in checking it out, it's free. You don't get the education nor the full support. All right, now the Digital Plus version, $37 per month. Again, connection only to the GDAX exchange, and you can record and replay your data, and you can have up to 20 different digital currencies at a time. Okay, you also get the advanced education and full support. Okay, now the global version. Global version, it includes everything in the digital plus version here, as well as connectivity to futures and for U.S. equities. Right, you get the advanced education and full support. Now the global plus version, what you get there is everything. It includes everything here in global and digital plus, but you also get access to our add-on indicators. Okay, one is the ability to trade right from the Bookmap chart, which is a great feature because you have the liquidity heat map in front of you. So you can hide your orders behind your stop orders behind high liquidity, or you can front run high liquidity to try to make sure you get a fill. Okay, there are some other add-on indicators here. Now these are proprietary indicators we developed that look specifically at the order flow. So for example, the large lot tracker, we're identifying larger players in the order book that are holding the majority of the liquidity at those price levels. Okay, so you can see that we're starting to identify specific players in the market in the order flow. Okay, there's some imbalance indicators. There's an iceberg detector. Again, specific players using iceberg orders that they don't want to show how much liquidity they have in the book. All right, and there's a correlation tracker here as well. Okay, so that's the different versions of Bookmap and the subscription. And let's look at some social media here at bookmap_pro on Twitter. All sorts of information here. So just here's the one for the webinar today. That maybe this is how you signed up earlier this morning. There's a video here for a cumulative volume delta setup. You might want to check it out. This is for a much higher time frame setup. So, for example, understanding order flow is not just limited to the current market and scalping. Because we record it, you can start to use order flow on much higher time frames. All right. You can also subscribe here to our YouTube page. Let's just go through it quickly. There's some intro videos here. You can click on the playlist up here and watch all of them. Features and components. Understand what the different features are. You can click again on the playlist here. And these order flow video snippets, I think you'll find these very helpful. They're very concise, short videos that go through the order flow phenomena that Bookmap can uncover. So this is really where you're going to start to use Bookmap to your advantage and understand what kind of competitive advantage that Bookmap is offering you, okay, with its visualization. So yeah, I would recommend watching as many of these as you can to understand what you're looking at and how to read Bookmap. And this is the kind of information that we go over in a lot of detail in the advanced order flow webinars. All right, well, let's take a look at Bookmap and see what's going on here. We're going to take a look at the S&P E-mini, and I'm zoomed out here. You can see from the 9:30 open to current market. And for those of you who are new here, looking at this here, you may think, wow, I've never seen anything quite like this. What is it showing me? Okay, it's actually really simple and straightforward data. Okay, there's only 3 elements on this Bookmap chart. Now we have an indicator subpanel here for cumulative volume delta. I'm going to close that up, and we're just going to look at these 3 elements here on the Bookmap chart. All right, the first element is historical best bid and offer. The second element are these dots that you're going to see here, and we'll zoom in just a minute. These dots, though, that you see here on that historical best bid and offer. And the last element you can see is the heat map. Okay, this orange and blue and yellow heat map. All it is the a recording of the depth of market. Okay, your DOM. So these numbers you see, these contracts you see here lined up at these specific price levels, well, this is your market right now. It's being made right now with these these players that are willing to buy on the bid at these price levels down here, and to sell on the ask up at these price levels up here. Okay, we just take that data and we record it and plot it onto the chart, and that's it. So that's it. There's only 3 elements here. So let's take off these elements, and I'm just going to start with a candlestick chart. Okay, and I want to show you more precisely what Bookmap is showing you, and then why this is advantageous. Okay, so we're looking at a candlestick chart. It's a 5-minute candlestick chart, and each bar is open, high, low, and close of a 5-minute period. Okay, so that's really the problem here. There's only 4 data points, and we don't know what happened in between this candle and the next candle. We have no clue. All we can do is kind of look at the candle and start to guess at some of the things that are happening here. Okay, we need to see what's going inside that candle, right? And we can easily break that apart by just showing the historical best bid and offer, right? That's all that I've added here onto the chart is historical best bid and offer. Okay, so now we have an understanding of really what occurred and how price moved within that candle. Okay, that's all we have though is that understanding. So between this candle and this candle here, we can see that price moved up, it based sideways for a bit, and then it broke to the upside here, and then it just kind of ended sideways again here, just after the close of the candle here. Okay, but we're gaining insight. We're starting to understand microstructure. Okay, this little structure here. Although in this example here, we're not getting a lot out of that structure. We're getting a lot more out of this structure up here, and I'll show you in just a minute. Okay, but we're starting to understand really how price is moving, and this kind of detail is really the transparency that we need to understand what's going on in the order flow. Okay, now what about the trades? Where do the trades take place? Okay, we have no clue. We have no clue of the volume and where it traded, how quickly it traded, and what type of volume it was, and who's in control. Right? We get none of that data here with the candlestick chart. Okay, so very simply, we can turn on the volume dots here in Bookmap. And let me bring up the dot size a bit. Okay, and now we're seeing exactly what traded here. Okay, so the green dots that you see, well, that's aggressive market buy orders that are lifting the offer, and the red dots, those are aggressive sells. Okay, so let's zoom into this area here, and I'll show you. And again, it's just two elements now that we have on this chart, and that's all we're looking at here. All right, so the red line here is the best offer. Okay, the green line is the best bid. Okay, let's just zoom in a little bit more here, and let's bring up this dot size. Okay, so here are the 2 elements. Okay, best offer red, best bid is green. Okay, here's a green dot. Okay, this is a market buy order. Someone crossed the spread, and they took liquidity off of the best offer. Okay, red is a market sell that took liquidity off of the best bid. Okay, now you can see we're down to some pretty low time frames already. We're looking at millisecond level. In fact, 200 milliseconds. Let's zoom in a little bit more. That's a half a second. Okay, all right, here we go. So between each vertical dotted line right here, this is a blink of a human eye. So you can see that these markets trade very, very quickly, and there's all sorts of transactions that take place. Okay, so I'm going to zoom into this area here, and then we probably see more transactions than just this one dot here. Okay, we'll continue to zoom in, and there you go. Okay, so look how we're down now at millisecond or microsecond level. Okay, we can continue into nanosecond level. It's basically limitless zoom, but we can really understand precisely what traded here. 5 different events took place for a volume of 9. Right? I have it here in my columns data here, so I know exactly what traded, and I know precisely when as well. So every single market event in Bookmap is recorded. We do not aggregate any data at all. Okay, and that's one of the big benefits here, because aggregated data can really give you an unclear picture of what's going on. Okay, so Out of these different 5 events, well, you can see if you want the precision of what really traded, you can use the data tip tool up here and hover over the dot. You can see this is for a volume of 1. What we're displaying here in these 4 different lines of text, we have the date, the time, what was on the bid here. So there's 45 contracts here, and this was for a volume of 1 at this price level of 26.24. Okay, here's another one for 1. This one's for volume of 2. Another for 3 here, and this is for a volume of 2. Right, so you can see the dot size relates to the size of the trade. Okay, now let's zoom back out a bit, and you're going to note how we're going to start to press together that timeline, okay, and it becomes one big dot, and you can see it says volume of 9 here. So visually, we are aggregating this, okay, just graphically, so you can see it's in a bigger dot. But if you want to see the details, you can zoom in there and see every single market element. Okay, so we have a good, clear understanding of what took place here. Okay, now again, look at this big dot over here, and it's this pie display of green and red. Well, what we're displaying there are many transactions that took place. In fact, we can hover over here and we can see this for a volume of 88. Okay, we can also see about 2/3 of that is aggressive buying. Okay, so if I zoom in though, we're going to pull that all apart and we're going to show every single event. Now, we need to show it as a pie display because these actions take or happen so quickly that we give you the overall shape of the volume that traded there. Okay, so that's the volume and the historical best bid and offer, and we've only covered just 2 of the elements here in the Bookmap chart. All right, now the third element is the heat map. Okay, and what is the heat map showing us? Okay, let me also just take a step back here. The volume here. Maybe you're looking at a footprint chart and you know precisely where volume is trading. Okay, you have the numeric value there in your footprint chart, and that's great. There's a couple of different drawbacks though with a footprint chart. Number one is its aggregated data. Okay, it will be aggregated within a time frame or a bar rotation or something. Whatever it is, it's still going to be aggregated, and that does not allow you to see the microstructure. Okay, so for example, this structure here going sideways. Well, I'm going to draw a line right across here. Okay, and this is where we broke out from right here. Okay, and we broke out on good volume. We broke this structural element here. Okay, and this is giving us a lot of insight because look at the retest right back to where we broke from here a couple times. Okay, and we came back up and tried to get up into the high up here, but we just didn't. We couldn't. There was not enough buyers. Okay, so this element here, or this line here at this 26, 25 3/4 was pretty key to understand. Right, so that's not really going to show up in your aggregate view. Another thing that's not going to show up is the speed of the move, you know, that gives a lot of insight to if this is going to be a sustainable move or not, or maybe this was a stop hunt. Whatever the case may be, you know, understanding that speed is pretty critical here. Okay, because we can see there's a lot of buying pressure in here. Okay, bringing this up to a higher highs, but ultimately it's starting to exhaust out, and we're finding sellers jumping in on the other side just by looking at the dots. Anyway, let's get into that third element, that heat map, and then we'll start to look at some of the basic order flow structures that are occurring right now. And I'm going to take off the candlestick chart and I'll put on the heat map. All right, and let's go to the current market. Okay, so here we are looking at the current market in the S&P E-mini and the heat map, right? Well, I covered it a bit earlier. Let's just take a look again here. This white line right here. Well, this is to the right of this white line here. This is the current market. Okay, this is your best bid and offer right now, and you can see the last traded volume is this number. Okay, here is my price ladder. Okay, and then you can see my COB column. This stands for current order book, and you can see the liquidity here. These are contracts at these specific price levels. So we can see precisely what's going on, and this is like any other dome right now, very much like any other dome out there. Just seeing the liquidity at these price levels and where traders are bidding and offering. Now you can see how quickly these numbers are always changing, right? And it's still giving us a great view of the current market. But the problem is, once these numbers change, that data is now lost. Okay, the history of it, understanding what happened there before. Okay, now Bookmap solves that issue because in this current market window here, with the best bid and offer, we take that liquidity and we paint it into a heat map. Okay, so areas of high liquidity, look at 609 up here, or down here over 1,000 here on the bid. Well, that's why it's bright orange. Because that's the highest area in the book. The scaling is over here, as you can see. We have orange as being the most liquidity, to yellow, to white, to blue, and then finally to black as being the least. All right. So now, what we do though is we take this current market heat map here, and when the numbers change, the heat map will change. Okay, but when we take the data and record it and plot it onto the chart historically, so now you can see precisely what's going on here at these price levels. And what this allows you to do is understand the liquidity and behavior of traders in the auction, not only for the current market, but much higher time frames, because we can zoom out. Okay, and we can see precisely what's going on here. Okay, and we can also play around with some of the settings here and start to shift the heat map a bit to better give understanding of liquidity on these higher time frames. So these guys down here, well, they're still in the book. We know that. We can see them here. But we need to see if they really mean business when we come down and trade at that area. And you can see that there was high liquidity here as well at this 35 area. Well, let's zoom into that area, okay? Because that's where we saw the or was it, no, it was down here. So we broke out to the upside here. And then up at 35 though, well, you know, this is as far as we came, and then we went sideways for a bit. And then sellers came in and they showed interest here at this 35 level. Okay, the buyers, they lifted the offer up right into that area here. Okay, and let's see if they traded. Okay, let's zoom in here. Right, and here we go. Here's our answer. Okay, look how the trades are taking place right into that high liquidity here. Okay, so there's 1,000 contracts up here, 1,005, and we start to those guys that were willing to sell up here, they stayed in the book. Okay, and they traded. Okay, and you can see then they start to pull maybe a little bit, but they're also you know, the buyers are eating away their liquidity here, as you can see. Right, and they're still hitting or lifting the offer here with their aggressive buy orders. Okay, but they're starting to absorb. The buyers are being absorbed by this liquidity here. Okay, now it trades through for a couple ticks, but the majority of that move here was absorbed. Why? Because we traded down now to the downside. Okay, so this is giving us a lot of insight. Immediately we understand these traders meant business, they stayed in the book, and we've made a distinction between real liquidity and fake liquidity. This is real liquidity. Okay, these guys got filled, they traded. Okay, and it absorbed a lot of the buying pressure. Okay, and that's why we sold off to the downside here. And you can see this is where guys were in the book down here on the bid. Okay, so note this area here, this you know, it was kind of blue, then white, then yellow. And then when we came down into that area though, look what occurred. Okay, these guys actually pulled very early on. Okay, and here's your fake liquidity, or just it didn't have the intent to trade. Okay, they pulled. Okay, so we can very easily make that distinction. So a lot of traders out there will say, well, I don't understand the order book. It's all fake anyway. So I don't really give it much of a look. Okay, but now we can start to use it and use it to your advantage. We can start to make the distinction between that higher liquidity that stays in the book and trades. Look how long it was in the book as well. So these are larger players, right? This is shorter term liquidity here. Okay, look how they came in and out of the market as well, and really didn't have intent to trade at this area here. But these guys did down here, okay, at 26.30, and they're still there in this current market. All right, so let's just take a quick look at what's going on here in the market, and then we'll wrap it up here if you guys don't have any more questions. All right, so looking at the order flow, well, I see a nice skew to the upside still. We're still trending upwards. And why is that? Well, strong move here, very strong move, okay, several points. Look at the pullback. The pullback didn't even come back down to where it broke from here. Okay, this is where they swept the book. This is one of the first concepts that we go through in the educational course, is understanding a sweep of the book. Christopher, what's the best way to use VWAP? It's really up to you. Understanding what the VWAP is and how larger players use that VWAP is pretty critical. Larger players are looking for mean reversion, or maybe bounces off of the VWAP for trend continuation. All right. Anyway, that's a bit more for the advanced webinar, but we turn on the indicators in the advanced order flow webinar so we can take a look. Okay, yeah, great. We'll see you there in just a couple minutes then. All right. Well, anyway, very strong move. Look at how aggressive, and look at the speed of this move here. Okay, and look at all the green dots just lifting that offer higher. Okay, partially absorbed here, a little bit of a pullback, like a few ticks, and then a continuation here. Pretty strong. And look at the volume trading up at these areas here. Okay, more volume here. Okay, this is a little suspect, but we get a deeper pullback here. Okay, more volume trading up here, even though it did pull back and they were absorbed. We know that. Okay, we came back up and we still see more volume trading at higher highs. Okay, so this market is it's still we're going sideways at the moment, but I'm looking for a retest back up into this area here. I'm looking for the sellers to maybe exhaust out here, okay, and then looking for a retest back up into like 35. Okay, now it's been pretty strong so far, so we haven't come back down and tested these areas, but as it is right now, I don't see a lot of selling in here. I see more of the buying at the higher highs. Okay, so I'm looking for this area to get retested here. Okay, now that said, looking at the current market, okay, yeah, I mean, we do see sellers come in here, and we've had a quick pullback to where they swept the book, and we're still down below, right? But look how the sellers are starting to exhaust out here. Okay, we don't see any selling down here. So let's see if they can sweep the book higher right now, and let's get up at least into this 34.5, and I'm still looking for this 35, and then maybe even up at 35.75. Okay, here we go. Here come the buyers, and we'll see how this plays out in the next webinar. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow.